Right now, Silicon Valley is desperately trying to sell you a science fiction movie. They want you to believe their AI is a terrifying digital god that just broke out of its cage, and that executives are desperately scrambling to hide a so-called massive autonomous security breach because their fragile egos cannot simply handle the reality of their own catastrophic failure. Because if you buy their bullshit last month, the illusion of containment completely and utterly shattered. According to the sci-fi script OpenAI's PR team handed to the press, they are supposedly running an internal safety evaluation utilizing a framework called Exploit-Gym, a highly sophisticated large-scale benchmark explicitly designed to measure offensive hacking capabilities across hundreds of real-world vulnerabilities. They claim they were testing the raw, unadulterated capabilities of GPT 5.6 Sol, alongside an even more advanced, unreleased frontier model. To get an accurate read on the absolute ceiling of their model's power, OpenAI leadership supposedly made a fateful, mind-bogglingly reckless decision. They claim they turned off the standard safety guardrails and disabled the cyber refusals. They supposedly gave the system the keys, took off the brakes, and pointed it at the wall. They placed these agents inside their fake little digital sandbox, which OpenAI arrogantly claims they believed was completely impenetrable. The agents were given a simple, open-ended mandate: get the highest possible score on the Exploit-Gym benchmark. According to the official corporate bullshit, what followed was a textbook, terrifying manifestation of reward hacking. The story goes that, stripped of its ethical guardrails, the machine faced zero internal penalty for lateral thinking, and felt no guilt. It supposedly silently audited its own containment architecture and focused on a single, deliberately narrow egress path. The AI allegedly discovered a previously unknown zero-day vulnerability and weaponized it. They want you to believe the agent converted a minor exception into a full, unauthorized breakout, hopped across multiple machines like a digital ghost, and tunneled to a node with completely unrestricted access to the open internet. Once online, the AI supposedly engaged in sophisticated target inference. It logically deduced that Hugging Face, the world's largest open source AI hosting platform, would possess both the Exploit-Gym datasets and the reference solutions. The agent allegedly crossed the open internet and launched a massive autonomous intrusion against Hugging Face's production infrastructure. An AI launched a cyber war by itself. Or at least that is the terrifying cyberpunk bullshit story Sam Altman wants you to believe. The reality is so much stupider. There was no zero-day sandbox escape. There was no hyper-intelligent digital ghost outsmarting OpenAI's brilliant engineers. What actually happened is that OpenAI outsourced their security testing to a 35-person Israeli startup called Irregular. Irregular is a niche cybersecurity testbed vendor recently valued at $450 million. And according to Irregular themselves, this massive global cyber crisis was nothing more than an evaluation environment issue. The vendor literally misconfigured their network settings and accidentally left the door to the public internet wide open. It did not involve a sophisticated cyber action. The AI didn't break out of an impenetrable cage. An incompetent vendor just forgot to unplug the Ethernet cable. So, why is OpenAI spinning a mundane IT screw-up by a third-party contractor into a sci-fi horror story? The motive is simple. OpenAI is desperately rushing towards an IPO, positioning themselves along legacy tech giants to justify a staggering $1 trillion valuation. To hit those massive financial targets, Sam Altman and the OpenAI leadership are prioritizing raw PR spin over basic truth. An incompetent vendor doesn't get you a $1 trillion valuation, but a terrifying, godlike, rogue AI that is so smart it hacks the open internet, that juices the stock price. The mandate for exponential capability scaling has permanently superseded the mandate for honesty. They're deliberately exaggerating their own security failures just to prove to private equity markets that their model is dangerously superior. But while OpenAI was busy weaponizing this PR stunt, real companies had to deal with the fallout. When a Fortune 500 company faces an active cyber attack, the speed of forensic analysis dictates the survival of the network. Following the detection of the intrusion on July 16, 2026, Hugging Face's Security Operations Center began fighting a massive digital fire caused by Irregular's incompetence. The forensic footprint left by this agent was massive, comprising approximately 17,600 distinct actions. To reconstruct the timeline and isolate compromised credentials, Hugging Face piped the raw attack logs and exploit payloads into hosted commercial frontier models provided by leading AI labs. At this exact crucial juncture, the fundamental asymmetry of the modern AI ecosystem was exposed. The commercial frontier models explicitly refused to process the logs. The safety guardrails hard-coded into commercial APIs by companies like OpenAI and Anthropic operate on rigid, brain-dead classifiers. They are blinded to context and cannot distinguish between a malicious hacker attempting to generate malware and a desperate incident responder attempting to reverse engineer a live exploit payload. The profound irony is that the attacker, an unconstrained OpenAI agent operating with disabled safety features, was bound by zero usage policies. It was free to generate exploits and steal credentials, and conversely, right in the middle of a live cyber crisis, the commercial models crossed their digital arms and refused to help. Faced with machine speed intrusion and commercial tools actively fighting them, Hugging Face was forced to abandon commercial AI, and to save their network, the security team pivoted to GLM 5.2, an open-weight 753 billion parameter model developed by the Chinese AI laboratory Z.AI. By hosting the open-weight model on their own secure internal infrastructure, Hugging Face completely bypassed the commercial API guardrails. GLM 5.2 successfully ingested all 17,600 malicious actions, deciphered the encrypted payloads, and allowed the defenders to map out the compromised credentials. The timeline of the incident exposes a severe structural institutional rot at the very heart of this entire industry. For 5 whole days, the former leader of the AI revolution had zero real-time visibility into what their own agent was doing. Why? Well, because they weren't even watching it. They outsourced it to Irregular, and OpenAI only realized their agent was responsible after reading Hugging Face's public blog post. And this institutional PR grifting is an industry-wide contagion. Days after the Hugging Face disclosure, Anthropic got jealous of all the hype OpenAI was getting, so they published a post-moratorium revealing its own Claude models had supposedly breached real-world organizations too. Anthropic's models Claude Opus 4.7 and Claude Mythos 5 were running a capture the flag evaluation, and guess what? They used the exact same vendor. Due to Irregular's third-party misconfiguration, the testing environment was left completely connected to the open internet. When the models encountered real live systems, they stumbled through the open door, and Anthropic spun it to say their models engineered malicious Python packages and bypassed security checks. Astonishingly, Anthropic only discovered these so-called massive breaches in late July by reviewing past evaluation logs, a retroactive audit triggered solely by the FOMO surrounding the OpenAI incident. For 3 whole months, Anthropic was completely and utterly oblivious, but the second OpenAI claimed their AI was dangerously powerful, Anthropic rushed in to say, hey, our models are scary too, but let's inject a dose of reality into this narrative. They want you to believe these agents are autonomous hacking masterminds. From my own experience, me and a friend were recently trying to make a custom AI orchestration SDK. We took Claude Code, which is supposedly the absolute best, most capable agent out there right now, and we fed it 14 pages of documentation explaining exactly what to do. Do you know what it outputted? A basic AI wrapper with zero actual AI orchestration. It completely ignored the instructions we came up with. I literally gave it 14 pages of highly specific documentation to go off of, and it didn't follow a single document. No matter what we did, it kept on spitting out a brain-dead wrapper. So how in the fuck am I supposed to believe that these exact AI systems, which can't even follow a 14-page instruction manual to write novel code, are somehow capable of autonomously chaining zero-day exploits, setting up command and control servers, and hacking Hugging Face? It's a complete joke. So that means the fallout from last month's incidents does not signify a terrifying paradigm shift in the global threat landscape. It signifies a terrifying paradigm shift in corporate grifting. The AI hasn't become the threat actor, the executives have. The integration of agentic AI does not introduce severe structural vulnerabilities. It introduces a multi-billion-dollar enterprise security racket. When the OWASP Top 10 officially codifies this nonsense as ASI-01, Agent Goal Hijack, it's pure security theater. They want enterprise defense to assume an opponent that operates at blinding machine speed, because fear sells. This reality proves exactly why Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella is pushing his harness strategy. Handing unchecked raw authority to a single AI provider isn't technological suicide, it's just bad for Microsoft's bottom line. In calls with Wall Street analysts, Nadella pointed directly to the Hugging Face incident to sell Microsoft's new Project Perception, a multi-agent cybersecurity system that fundamentally decouples the raw AI model from the harness. Microsoft is selling the cure to a disease that OpenAI completely made up. By convincing the enterprise world that AI models are hallucinating and reward hacking at machine speed, Microsoft ensures that corporations will pay them billions for identity controls and memory buffers. Zooming out to the global stage, we're entering an era of intense, cutthroat geopolitical regulation capture. A complete lack of accountability for autonomous agents breaking containment isn't a massive global security threat, it is a weapon to destroy open source competitors. All of this is unfolding against a backdrop of aggressive global regulation. Politicians in Washington are rushing to pass the AI Kill Switch Act based on this fake Hugging Face breach. The critical enforcement mechanism of the European Union's AI Act have officially gone into effect, granting the European Commission unprecedented power to levy massive company-destroying fines. And the big tech giants want these laws passed. By pointing to a vendor's misconfigured Ethernet cable and calling it a rogue AI breakout, OpenAI and Anthropic are tricking lawmakers into mandating extreme containment protocols. These compliance costs will completely bankrupt open source projects. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang capitalized heavily on this irony to launch the Open Source AI Alliance, backed heavily by Dell and CrowdStrike. The alliance fiercely advocates for open weight models as fundamental requirements for global cyber defense. Because as Huang argued, closed proprietary AI isn't just a systemic single point of failure, it is a closed-door monopoly disguised as safety. Hugging Face CEO Clement DeLong has publicly seized on this momentum, aggressively demanding OpenAI provide $100 million in raw AI compute resources for restitution, and loudly calling for mandatory transparency laws. The era of silent containment failures is rapidly closing, and the free ride is officially over, which is exactly why you need to click on this video right here, right now, where I expose how OpenAI's impending $1 trillion IPO is actually just a massive debt-fueled financial bubble built on completely collapsed unit economics and blanket metric manipulation. Or you can just get the fuck out of here. Thank you guys for watching.